These are my first impressions on the NMD R1 V3 by Adidas. Throughout the video, I'll give you my thoughts on the shoes so far when wearing them casually. And that's about it, because they're lifestyle shoes. The NMD V3 was released in August of 2022 with a campaign that encouraged people wearing the shoe to create their own path. The shoe was released under the Adidas Originals division, and this is highlighted by the blue box that the shoes come inside. This pair of shoes usually retails for around $160 or $170 US, depending on the model, but I was able to find a very good deal on them, which discounted around $110-ish. On top of that, these shoes are also part of Adidas' efforts to reduce their impact on the environment, as the upper on the shoes is made of a high-performance yarn that consists of at least 50% partly ocean plastic. The other 50% of the yarn is made of recycled polyester. The shoe itself and the shoebox also highlight these environmentally friendly efforts with a message on both the lid of the box and the insole in the shoe. I got these in men's US size 11, but they are not exactly true to size. And I know that I'm still getting used to the fit difference between Adidas and Nike, but this was something else. The shoes run slightly larger, but not throughout the entire shoe. There was a bit of extra space in the heel area of the shoes that caused my foot to slip a little bit once I began walking with them. And this caused my strides to be more prominent on the forefoot, which wasn't terrible, but it definitely threw me off. The worst part about this is the fact that the upper makes me question whether a half size down option would even work. The upper fits quite securely at the midfoot, like very secure. It's probably the most secure part of the shoe. It provides more freedom at the toe box / forefoot, so it's roomy in the front, but it's loose and unstable at the heel. Going half size down could mean that the shoe is way too narrow at the midfoot and perhaps not provide the extra room at the forefoot. This would, however, fix the extra space that I experienced at the heel. Another thing that has not been my favorite on the shoe, and it's actually related to this whole concern regarding the upper, is the design of the collar and how thin and stiff it is. The design reminded me a lot of the React Element 87, which is not necessarily a good thing considering how many times this collar or this shoe caused troubles in this area. The stiffness will sometimes dig into your ankle, especially when you're turning, and it can become a bit tedious. The upper as a whole is just not that flexible, and it has a bit of stiffness to it, and this is primarily noticeable when walking longer distances with them. The combination of materials on the upper is simply not the best, since the flexible and stretchy parts do create freedom and provide extra breathability, but like we've highlighted already, the rest of the upper feels very stiff, and it doesn't feel like there's a true or like a smooth blend between these two materials. The tongue is also very thin, and I was also a bit hesitant about it because tongues like this can be uncomfortable when they sit against the front of your leg / ankle, and it's something else that reminded me of the Nike React Element 87. Luckily, this was not the case with this one though, but I definitely wouldn't mind some cushioning for it. Something else that worked out, and it's my favorite part of the shoes, is the Boost midsole that these shoes feature. I've worn Boost shoes before, more specifically the Ultra Boost 2022, but they are a bit more stiff and rigid, like at the midsole, and it creates what I call a full circle experience that makes every I wasn't recording the audio here. I'm going to show you right now. It's off. It's off. Man, this is what happens when you don't do this for a while. The midsole on this NMD, however, is a little bit more conservative, and it is fantastic. There is a softness and a flexibility to the midsole that can be felt underneath the insole, and it creates what I call a full circle experience that makes every step very comfortable. The midsole is able to get the job done for walking and or standing up for a very long time, but unfortunately for this shoe, the upper doesn't combine properly to make this even easier and an overall better experience. Another thing that I like about the shoes, and this is obviously a bit more subjective, is the fact that they are rather simple. They have a few details throughout, but nothing major or extravagant. The silhouette is able to speak for itself, but there are other colorways out there that are a little bit more flashy if you want something that stands out more. These simplistic details are properly complemented by the TPU piece that wraps around the midsole, which provides a bit of structure and stability when walking. And of course, can't go wrong with the price on these, which was also another big favorite for me. They have a decent set of discounts for a lot of these models in Adidas US as well as other retailers here in the US that put some models below the $100 price point, and I think that's a very decent price for them. Now, with that said, it would be hard for me to justify the standard $150+ retail price. They are a decent pair of shoes, but the upper design simply didn't live up to the expectations, and I don't think it lives up to the price either.